it in a bow, give it to the person, say, hey, drama day, it's me, I'm the narcissist. Do you ever watch some of these videos about narcissism out on the internet and you're kind of like, wait a second, like that seems to match up in one sense, but it doesn't seem to like really match up. Like something seems like off. Like I don't really get what I'm actually looking at or what I'm actually going through. And you're like, am I just crazy? Like my narcissist didn't do that, or the toxic person in my life, they didn't yell at me. I mean, they were kind of mean like all the time, but they didn't yell at me. They didn't do X, Y, and Z. And you start getting to the place where you're wondering and you're doubting yourself of like, wait a second, like what was I actually dealing with? More and more people are starting to realize that the person they were dealing with, the toxic person, might have been a psychopath or a sociopath or a narcissist. But a lot of times they're realizing that it might be a little bit more than that. It might be someone who is a covert or a vulnerable narcissist, one that has a little bit different types of traits. Now, I know you've seen maybe some videos on narcissism in the DSM-5. I've got a couple of videos about that where it goes through the 9 different traits and you can understand some of those. I'm going to do a video about that sometime where I actually like try to compare like overt versus covert, because like a lot of times people don't realize that the 9 traits are there in covert narcissism. It's not different. It's not like they have completely different traits. They're still there. They're just hidden. They're covert for a reason. You know, they're hidden on different aspects. So you might see a narcissist that rages out, but for a covert, you might see more passive aggressive, and maybe they never raised their tone, or maybe they never cussed at you or yelled at you or something like that. But there's like nuances that still are similar across the board. You might have an overt narcissist that's very much out there and you see their ego out and about, the grandiose idea of like, whoa, like they're the best thing ever, and they think they are and they don't care what other people think about them. And then you see the covert that doesn't really put out a huge ego. They're more quiet, they're more humbled, maybe they're shy, maybe they're kind of sitting back, and they still have the conversation maybe revolve around them or want to be around them. Maybe they play the victim, maybe they play the humility card, like whatever it might be. But the ego is still there. They just know I have to hide it. I have to make sure that it's tucked down a little bit so that I don't look bad, so that I don't seem bad because of what's going on, because of how I'm actually feeling. Maybe you've dealt with a covert narcissist. Maybe you've dealt with someone who appears a certain way, but it's kind of hidden. Well, besides the DSM-5 and like the 9 traits of narcissism in general, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about just some traits of the covert narcissist. And I'm just reading off a couple traits here from the Covert Passive Aggressive Narcissist by Debbie Mirza. So check that out if you haven't had a chance to be able to read it. But it goes into a couple different ones of these. And I'm going to go through some of them. We'll talk about it a little bit, but just to give you like an idea. If you guys are new here, my name is Ben Taylor. I'm a self-aware narcissist on this channel to provide awareness, growth, healing, and change. If you want to help with joining a community that can support you through the crazy making, then download the NARC app, NARC, Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Community. Apple, Google Store, download NARC, NARC. Just type that in, it'll pop right up. There's over 4,000 people that have downloaded it and are working on their growth, their healing, and change on a day-to-day basis. Got exclusive lives, monthly coaching. We do weekly lives as well. Meet with people one-on-one. Whole slew of different things that we're trying to do to be able to help people as they understand what narcissism is, the destructive nature it has about it, and how it's destroying lives on a day-to-day basis, and give you the tools so that you can avoid these. So you can get out of these relationships and you can set boundaries so you don't go back and so you don't get with a narcissist or a toxic person in the future. That's the goal. Healing, growth, and change. So anyways, it talks in here about a couple of the traits. Okay, one of them, they do not have a strong sense of self. A lot of times it's like, I don't really know like what I want. Maybe the idea is they don't have these giant preferences, but they're like, hey, you choose. But then, they attack you whenever you choose. Silent rage. The silent rage is huge. Oftentimes comes across as like stonewalling or the silent treatment, where they're angry, but they're like, no, I'm fine. But they give you angry vibes. But they give you the idea of like, if you do this, you are going to pay. But they're not going to rage. They're not going to yell. They're not going to beat you. Anything like that. It's more silent in nature. What about lying? Okay, that's typical across the board with everyone, as far as narcissists, right? But lying is definitely like huge. A lot of times covert, you'll see even an idea of more like omission. Of like, I'm going to tell you the truth, like 90% of the truth. I'm just going to leave out the 10% that makes me feel bad or makes me look bad. Hoovering. Hoovering is a giant one a lot of times with narcissists, of coming back into your life, of trying to come back and control it after the fact. The video coming out later today is actually going to be about hoovering as well. To give you like an idea, we're going to go a little bit more in depth of what actually hoovering is. So stay tuned for that one. Constant criticism. And this one is huge because sometimes overts don't have this giant criticism. Coverts a lot of times have this very subtle criticism that's like a constant drip, always kind of like pushing at you. Why'd you do it that way? Like, I guess if that's what you want to do, like doing all these different things that are slowly degrading you, your self-esteem, your confidence, everything like that, and making you feel like the idiot, making you feel like there's something wrong with you. They project their own issues onto you, putting everything that they're feeling, frustration, anger, jealousy, whatever, and tossing it at you and being like, why are you so mad? When you're not mad at all, but by the end of the conversation, you're mad and they walk away and they're not mad at all because they're giving that. They're kind of boxing it up and giving you that emotion, giving you that feeling so that they don't have to deal with it, so they don't have to feel it, so they don't have to engage with it. A lot of times jealousy. Be super jealous of you spending time with other people. And that jealousy oftentimes will prompt them to isolate you, to keep you away from other people. Their words don't match their actions. If you guys get a chance, we just did a video on this yesterday where their words don't match their actions. And it's very true. A lot of times with gaslighting, a lot of times with lying, manipulation. But the whole idea of let me distract you, let me give you cognitive dissonance, let me confuse you so that I can extend my stay in your life and not demonstrate any type of changed behavior. They're emotionally disconnected. A lot of times people think of it this way, of just being like empathy, of like they just don't have empathy, they lack empathy. Sometimes they lack empathy, sometimes they choose to be disconnected from you. Like if I take away this empathy, if I am not empathetic towards you, then I don't have to admit that you're right and that I'm wrong. They have flying monkeys. Oftentimes these flying monkeys come in and what they are is just abuse by proxy. It's by someone else. So there's someone else that comes into your life. Maybe that's a friend of a friend. Maybe that's another family member, like whatever it might be. They'll hire on other people to subscribe to their alternate reality, the mask that they built. And they'd be like, hey, go check on this person for me because, they're really not doing good because of X, Y, and Z. And they'll blame everything. Sometimes they use other people to infiltrate as far as smear campaigns and attacking you and all different types of stuff, but they'll have other people kind of gather together to be able to hurt you. They take credit for your ideas. Especially you see this a lot in the work environment of you have this great idea and the next person just like grabs it and takes it. But in marriages and relationships, like all of a sudden you start noticing like, wait a second, like that was actually what I said, but they're not giving me the credit. They withhold praise and recognition. This one is huge because it's a way to be able to string another person along, to kind of like put the carrot out in front of them and kind of dangle it forward because they're trying to give the idea of like, hey, I'll give you praise if you do this. And then you do that and they're like, well, that was close, but I'll give you praise if you do this. They're always moving the bar, moving the goalpost that you have to keep trying, with triangulating, with all different types of things to make you try harder and them to try less. They sabotage birthdays, holidays, vacations, and meaningful dates. A lot of times people ask me, they're like, why do they sabotage like holidays? Like, what's up with that? Well, the holiday's not about them. And so as a result, it's a lot easier to make it about them when you throw in some good old drama. Wrap it in a bow, give it to the person, say, hey, drama day, it's me. I'm the narcissist. Okay? They belittle you and teach you lessons. The idea of demeaning you, making you understand, hey, you really don't know what you're talking about. Let me show you how it's done. Like, you're the person here that doesn't have the intelligence to do this. Let me actually educate you. They love at times the parent-teacher role of like, hey, you need to do this. You need to do this. Where all of a sudden you feel like you're being controlled and manipulated. They're self-focused and emotionally immature. The focus is on the mask. The focus is on the mask that they've created, and the emotional maturity isn't there to be able to back it up. There's always strings attached. Stuff's very transactional. I did this for you. I took out the trash. So like, why aren't you bowing down and worshiping me? Literally, that's the connection at times. They use people, manipulating very much. They're dizzying conversationalists. The word salad. If you guys haven't seen, I did a video on word salad about the back and forth, the around and around, the confusing aspect of the word salad so that you never get down to the bottom of it. You never figure out what's actually going on. They create drama, holidays, birthdays. They don't make love, they take it. They're not protective. Very true. What you'll see with a covert narcissist a lot of times is they won't be protective of you, but they'll be protective of others. Probably need to do a video on that. They create stories in their head. They have no desire to know you. They're not engaging on that level of like, I want to actually get to know you on a personal level. For that reason, anytime they want to get to know you, it's typically to use, abuse, and manipulate you. They have no interest in making this a great relationship, and they use control and manipulation. They will work however they can to distract, devalue, demean, discard, to be able to control the relationship, to be able to control their stay in your life. Stick around later today. We're going to be dropping a video about hoovering and diving into that a little bit more.